All right. Welcome, everybody, to the Sandbox, your place for two old guys giving you their unsolicited opinions on toys. So, very important people talking about very important subjects.
Yeah, emphasis on unsolicited. We're going to tell you whether you want to hear it or not.
Yeah. So, what are we discussing today, Doug?
Let's see. Hollywood of late has been trying to make money on a lot of our childhood memories. Uh, it's kind of a trend, actually, that's kind of going on. And so I thought, hey, let's talk about some of our favorite childhood cartoons that have been turned into some movies. And maybe we can point out some things that they did right, and maybe some things that they did wrong.
That's a tall order.
But how Hollywood has been making a lot of money on our childhood memories lately. Hasbro has a movie industry. Um, I hear that Nintendo now is actually getting back into the movie side of things. They're making a Mario movie with Chris Pratt as the voice of
Oh
Mario.
my shit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know.
I
Uh,
I hated that news so much I forgot. I must have blacked it out.
uh, but um, but the biggest entertainment industries for our childhood toys seems to be Hasbro, with a lot of their franchises making it onto the big screen. Which one of the first ones that they did to kind of start the ball rolling on these things was the Transformers.
Yes, sir.
And so I figured that would be a good one to start off to kind of pick apart. Like always, whenever I have a discussion with somebody, I like to point out the things that are good. I like to point out nice things, things that I feel were done right. So if we could start on that and then go into the, which I think is the obvious things that they got wrong. But
We won't dwell. I
we
mean,
won't dwell.
you can find us on Facebook or whatever social media crying about it to this day. Although I will say that we're not nearly as militant as the fandom menace. All of you
Oh
jabronis
no.
out there who think every post ever about Star Wars needs your uneducated opinion. But sometimes you
I
just
for
can't.
one, I like a fandom that has a lot of different breadth and is pretty accepting of a lot of different views. And so the I've been one for like, hey, if you don't like it, that's cool. You don't have to like it. You do like it, well, that's cool. I don't like it, but hey, it takes all kinds, right? So
Yeah. So Transformers.
Transformers.
What do I like about it? Well, a movie came out and a bunch of toys that made it possible for cool toys to come out.
Of all
That's
the
the first.
movies that came out, it was one of them.
Yeah, that's the first thing I like about Transformers. What's it like for you?
Okay, so the main like that I got for this Transformers was they brought Peter Cullen back to voice Optimus Prime.
Yeah.
That's a checkbox, a check mark in the right column, because you cannot have Optimus Prime voiced by somebody else. Netflix. It has to be Peter Cullen.
I mean, at least do a good impersonation. Tom Hanks was rumored to have that role.
Of Optimus Prime.
Yeah.
Oh God, can you imagine freaking Woody giving the voice of Optimus Prime?
I got nothing against Tom Hanks. I think he's a fine actor and a really talented dude. But Autobots transform and roll out. I mean, it just doesn't. It
You
doesn't
are a
make any sense.
toy.
Yeah, yeah. But
No, I couldn't see that.
Spielberg was really into toys, into the Transformers toys when they came out back in the day. So he always had a fascination with it. And Spielberg and Hanks are buddy buddy.
Yeah.
Spielberg produced with Michael Bay, Michael Bay directing. So in the very beginning, there was a chance that Tom Hanks would have got the role. But yes, Peter Cullen returning to voice Optimus Prime, that was a big get.
It
And
was a
I
big
want to
deal.
say that it was probably enough for some of us who were skeptical to come in and say, okay, well, let's see what happens. Unfortunately, it's in voice and name only for Optimus Prime. Uh,
Correct.
I mean, if you think about it, how many great Optimus Prime moments did we get out of those movies? One.
Well,
And I mean, there was one moment where I felt like you really had this embodiment of what Optimus Prime is all about. It's that asinine chase from the second movie where he takes off with Shia LaBeouf, and they wind up in the forest of all places with no backup. But even though
mhm.
backup was just there a couple scenes ago,
Yeah, where'd they go?
and Megatron is like, "Oh, you'd let one human destroy our chances for survival," and he sees Starscream and whatever helicopter who's getting his face ripped off comes down there. And Optimus Prime says something like, "You'll never stop at one. I'll take you all on."
Yeah,
Now, knowing that the odds are stacked and he wants to save Sam's life, that's like the Optimus Prime who just stands up and he'll just go into it like take care of business or give everything he's got to protect, not only to protect an innocent life, but to protect an ideal.
exactly.
That you cannot murder these people for the preservation of our society. And I mean, he proceeds to tear a guy's face off with hooks and rip Starscream's arm off. So I mean, it's like total like
Yeah,
Michael Bay ADD, no respect for these characters actually being living beings with feelings. It's just all toys to break apart. But in that one moment, I thought, man, that actually gave me goosebumps when I heard that line in the theater, and I'm like, that's the real Optimus Prime standing up. But he shortly
well,
just completely crushed
and he did
everything
say a
about that
few of the
movie.
lines that we do remember. I mean, like he did say, right, like freedom is the right of all sentient beings. He said
Yeah,
that. And, oh, he
one
said the
shall
thing.
stand, one shall fall.
Yeah,
But
but
and those were like throwaway lines, something that would like be in a Star Wars movie as fan service kind of a thing. Um, the just that in that one moment, he wasn't pulling someone's face off, he wasn't pulling someone's heart out, he wasn't Optimus Punisher. It was the Optimus Prime that we knew,
mhm.
where he was willing to fight against the odds to save somebody's life, even if it was just some insignificant human.
Yep, yep. And Sam slash Shia LaBeouf, a very insignificant human. All right.
So I guess that's technically a like. You got any other likes about it?
um, so I did like that they brought when they did the Autobot lineup, that they decided to use many of the original Autobots first in the first movie. So we saw Ratchet, we saw Ironhide, we saw Bumblebee, we saw Jazz. We saw the ones that were that I consider like the core of the
Yeah.
Autobots. They were allowed to shine in the first movie as much as they were allowed to. So, um, and I
Sometimes they
use the
were
word
torn into.
shine like really lowly.
Oh, I know. Like, hey, what would be really subtle if we had Jazz speak like a thug and break dance.
And breakdance, yeah.
That would be tasteful. That's not like completely insulting to anybody.
No, and do you remember? So the guy that they had voice Jazz in the cartoon, he was the same guy that played. I forget his name now. I should remember it. But he played in The Shining. He was like the janitor or the cook or something in The Shining. Um,
Oh, in the original cartoon?
in the original cartoon.
Yeah, Scatman
So his
Crothers.
yeah. So
Yeah.
his voice was so very distinct, just like Peter
Oh,
Cullen's,
love
right?
it. Yeah.
But man, he brought such a class to Jazz. And if we're going to start nitpicking Transformers now, Jazz in this movie had no class, no class, and he didn't feel like Jazz at all.
No, they were just in name only for characters. Even Bumblebee didn't feel like Bumblebee at all.
Making Bumblebee not able to talk was a move in the wrong direction, in my opinion.
Uh,
Uh,
how about making Bumblebee a badass that stands toe to toe with people, and he uses no cunning, no deception, no
no,
sneakiness, no stealth.
No,
I mean,
the
he's
thing
not the
about
heart of
Bumblebee is
the
that he
Autobot.
was small, that he was not as powerful or anything like his other Autobot brothers, right? Like they were big. They had all the big guns. They were the ones that went into the battles. He was the one that was like, hey, we can't get into this spot and we really need the intel from this space. Bumblebee, we need you to do this. And he was
Well,
always
and
ready to go. He didn't ask questions. He didn't back down from it. He was like, let's do it. Let's go.
yeah, and it was bravery in the face of like just insurmountable odds.
Yep.
So another one of those like Optimus Prime like characteristics, but it's in the smallest Autobot that can't roll up to Autobot City and turn away 8 or 10 Decepticons and then punch their leader to death. He
No.
couldn't do that, but he was still, brave nonetheless. So
But he recognized in his worth in that he could do the things that the other Autobots couldn't,
yeah,
just
so
because of his size and his will.
yeah, Lost in the movie. I mean, that would have been such a relatable thing for a scared human to be with the smallest Autobot, and they're sort
Who's
of
also scared.
sharing their fears together and making things look dangerous. Instead, you got some like mute ninja that it'd be like someone saying, "Well, let's send our weakest GI Joe Snake Eyes out to go with this person." What?
No, I did not like that they had a very small callback to when he was a Volkswagen Bug at the dealership, but then they turned him into this Camaro, and I did
He
not
stayed
like it.
small.
No, he needed to stay small. That's one of the biggest gripes I think of that movie is how badly they did Bumblebee.
Yeah, and it's not something any of the new movies have course corrected on.
No,
Although I will say that the latest movie felt more like real Transformers than any of the other ones did, and I'm sure Rise of the Beast next year we're still going to get some of that BS Michael Bay
yeah,
mashing the toys together bullshit like the last movie we had a little of, but the last movie actually had heart and it was quirky and fun and it had actual characters. So
well, at least he was a Volkswagen, um,
yeah,
and it and the opening to that one was actually really freaking righteous. I loved the opening to that first Bumblebee movie. Um, it showed like a really war torn Cybertron. Got to see Soundwave in action. Got to see
yeah,
Shockwave in
yeah.
action. Got to see the Seekers doing what it is that they do best. So and even though it was a redesign of the more G1 looks, it still had a little bit of the Michael Bay feels to them. But I will have to say that the Transformer movies that were specifically done by Michael Bay, I felt did not capture the essence of what the Transformers were. He went in so they used this thing called recombinant DNA in the movie, which allowed the Transformers to basically mass shift from a small vehicle to a large robot, and they would do this randomly throughout the movie. And
But there was like a swarm of little blocks.
yeah,
So I mean, you had this cockamamie idea of mass shifting like the original cartoon, and the producer saying, "Why don't you like that? Why don't you like that? That's in the old cartoon." Okay, so I'll give you
no,
that. Like, it's not
well,
like that.
no, they didn't explain it in the cartoon. All they did was they made him go from a small to a big. They didn't.
Yeah,
They didn't. We didn't need any more explanation than
but the
that.
producers were saying, "Oh, well, we gave the fans something they wanted." Yeah, but that's like saying, I like you. Let's go on a first date," and they gave us rape. So, I mean,
Nope, I hear you.
these are two opposite things. Like, I mean, there are some similarities here, but they're way too different. So, yeah, Transformers, it makes a lot of money. It's popular. It keeps the franchise alive. That's what I like about it. What
Yep.
do I dislike? Virtually everything about it.
Virtually everything else. I don't
Forgettable.
like the skeletal insectoid kind of looking that the Transformers ended up taking on. Transformers need to be big and blocky. That's just what they should be.
Well, it's just too difficult to follow.
Yeah.
There's a reason why the designs are simple so that you can understand what's happening.
Yep.
And they've gotten better in the last couple of movies. It's showed a lot of improvement. But so why don't we scoot over to GI Joe?
Oh yeah, that was my next. All right, so are we talking about things we liked first? All right,
Sure.
things we like about GI Joe. Well, it had Snake Eyes.
Oh,
Um, all right,
that's not a like for me. Oh, geez.
let's see what
That's
else
what I think
what else
about
did they
G.I.
have
Joe.
that I liked. Uh, mm, I think that was about it.
Uh, they so again, like same thing with Transformers. They try to smoke screen you a little bit by saying, well, the old cartoons were all sci-fi and blah blah blah. Well, okay, but if you're gonna grow it up, Jesus, I don't know. It's like the people that write Family Guy wrote G.I. Joe. I can't explain it other than that. It's this you don't know if you're watching a sci-fi or a serious army movie. Um, the characteristics and traits that made these characters really wonderful that you loved are completely absent.
Yeah.
Um,
Uh,
I,
so
I don't care if they switch some nationalities and do that kind of thing with some of the characters. Okay, whatever you're gonna do, but um,
you
can
need to
we
capture
have
the heart and the spirit of the original
yeah?
series.
Can we have something about them that made them interesting?
Mhm.
You can't just put a name in there and expect the fans to accept it that it's done.
No.
I mean, like, so when Flint's introduced in the second movie, right? Dude, Flint's a hard ass. Like,
Yeah.
he's harder hard ass than Duke. And like he's this badass, like Green Beret kind of guy. He's hardened, he's got leadership qualities. And what he's just like some kid who's wet behind the ears in the second movie that doesn't know what he's doing.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. That was the thing I got really kind of ticked about was the people that they had cast to play these characters. Now, I don't know why they thought that G.I. Joe probably wouldn't be a big draw for people. G.I. Joe has always been a big name, has always been a big uh, interest to people. And so when you cast people like Channing Tatum as Duke, you're not getting the audience that you need to get. When you cast oh god, what's his name is Ripcord.
Marlon
Wayans as
Wayans.
Ripcord. Like I said, I don't care about the race thing, but uh, the, the comedy that he was putting in there was not the comedy that I felt like that was GI Joe centric. To me,
Not at
actually,
all.
to
And
make
really,
oh, go ahead.
they had him acting like a stereotype.
Yeah, he was a complete stereotype.
So I mean, if you ever want to beat the stereotype and show that you're above that, why are you having this character written this way? Oh, probably because Michael Bay wrote it. Who the hell knows?
I don't know. The thing that I think about GI Joe that makes it work, um, the meaning the idea behind GI Joe is that the movie should have been set in an 80s post-Vietnam era. We should have gone backwards. We not now, not up to now. We're not even trying to do make GI Joe the future. We should have seen GI Joe as they were allowed to be in the setting that they were originally created in, which was post-Vietnam War, right? These guys were badass because they were in the field. They were doing things that had never been done in warfare before, and they were the specialists. They were the people who knew how to do these new things back then. And the
Yeah,
reason why we can get characters like Shipwreck and Roadblock, and it's because of the era that they were created in the first place. They feel out of place now.
yeah, and another thing about code names. Would it not have just been easier to say that, to have a scene where they're passing code names out and somebody's like, "What, Duke? Why?" Well, because
Ripcord.
if
Anybody want Ripcord
anybody,
here? Ripcord? No, nobody wants to.
if
Okay, yeah.
because if anybody knew your real name, you'd be dead.
Yeah.
You'd be a marked man. So this protects you and your family. I don't care if you want to be Duke. I don't care. Everybody wants to be Mr. F and Black. You're Mr. Pink. You're Mr. Blonde. You're Mr. White. Like Reservoir Dogs, right?
Yeah.
So just pass the code names out and explain that it's there to protect their identities. It's for anonymity.
If
And
you're gonna do it that way, but the character, we got more character development out of the file cards on the back of the action figures than we did in these movies.
Yeah, the movie was just, it was just horrible, and
Yeah,
like top to bottom, it was over explained, and I think that they made it really dumb trying to make it smart.
they did. The first one was over the top, ridiculous. The second one, they tried to bring it back down to earth a little bit, but they still did not hit the mark.
Man, Bruce Willis just, like, his part takes,
Yeah,
it's so cheesy and corny. It takes you so far out of the movie. Nobody would have that many guns and grenades tucked away in their house like that. It was
no,
just,
no,
it was like, it was cute in Mad Max Beyond the Thunderdome when he
right.
disarms and puts all that shit in the basket and on the table for him. But we don't need to see a stupid, like, convoluted sequence like that
Or his
um,
kitchen is an
in a modern
entirely,
movie. And Bruce
yeah.
Willis, even Bruce Willis is like, man, this shit sucks. This is a stupid movie. I'm gonna phone this in
He
from
totally
like
phoned it in.
from a different universe. I'm gonna phone it in. So yeah, I don't mind some of the changes. Like Firefly, I thought was kind of cool, but Ray
All right.
Stevenson he couldn't keep his southern accent very well.
I
Uh,
think the actor who played Storm Shadow was actually really good. I did like him.
yeah,
If I had
yeah,
to say of all the Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow were the best out of a not very good cast in the first place.
yeah.
Ray Parks played Snake Eyes, which I actually really like Ray Park. He played Darth Maul. He played Toad in X-Men. He's a very good um, you know uh,
Martial arts
martial
guy.
artist.
Uh, he,
Uh,
he he's a physical speaker, like with his body and his body language. It makes good sense. But can I ask why we had to have Snake Eyes dressed up like Batman?
yeah,
Why doesn't he just look like a commando? With a
yeah.
little bit of body armor or something on him.
The second version of him in the second movie was a little bit better, but not much.
You
Um,
might as well have put nipples on the suit.
yeah, yeah. But I do like the Storm. I do like Storm Shadow. I like the character who played him. Storm Shadow had one of the best lines in the entire movie of the first one, when they're being chased down the street, and Snake Eyes is all over them, and then they think they lost him, and Storm Shadow goes, "He never gives up." He's always there. Everybody thought it in
Uh,
their mind. Everybody did. Come on
why? Yeah. Why do you think that line was there? Yeah.
now.
He never gives up. Okay. All right.
Anyway,
Well,
but
how about
GI
how
Joe,
about
I think missed the mark with its intended audience, which was you and I. Um, and even though I think that we got some pretty good modern figures out of it, there were some people who really liked those figures. The Pursuit of Cobra came directly off of that
yeah,
line,
cool
which
as
was a
hell.
great action figure line. Don't get me wrong, it was really good. And as far as modern figures go, even though they were overly articulated, they were actually still really well detailed and came with a lot of stuff. So if there's a good thing that came out of that, it was the action figure toy line that came out.
Well, we got a new Tomahawk and a new Night Raven, both very cool vehicles.
Absolutely very cool.
Yeah. So again, GI Joe, they're being too smart the way that they're writing it, too smart for themselves. Leave the stuff in there that kids loved,
Yeah,
because they'll still love it about that. That's
yeah,
why these franchises live so long, because they know how to give the kids the things about it that they love.
yep,
And they thought, well, maybe we can amp this up. And I pictured like 30 producers around the table, and by the time we get the starting script and what it becomes at the end, it's just some mangled commercial mess with
yeah.
nothing but big explosions and shit.
It was not good. And talking about big explosions and shit, let's talk about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Dude, this is the most negative sandbox that we've done.
All right. So, okay.
It sucks. They suck. Okay,
Let's
they just
okay,
freaking suck.
but let's take it apart real quick. So we had a franchise that started as a cartoon, went to the TV, went to the movie screen, went back to the TVs as a cartoon, and then back to the movie screen. And so the first iteration that they did when they brought this to the movies back in 1990 was by far the most perfect iteration of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles I had seen, next to the black and white original comic books.
Yeah, they've never captured that lightning in a bottle again.
They have not. And so, as evidenced by Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2: The Secret of the Ooze, and nobody talks about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3. But so there were some great cartoons that came after that one. There was a couple of the 2013 or no, the 2003 iteration of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and then followed by
Terrific.
the 2012 version of them. Both very good versions and did those characters really, really well. And then we get to the Michael Bay travesty that was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Again, once again, Ninja Turtles in names, weapons, they're, like the colors in name.
Yeah,
but
in name.
all the things that make it so endearing and what that make people fall in love with it stripped away.
Completely stripped away and
black
replaced
mess.
with something that we just didn't even know what it was we were watching.
And they're all the Incredible Hulk. They're these gigantic guys that are like invincible and bulletproof.
Yep.
Why are you an effing ninja if you're bulletproof?
Yeah.
You would just be a guy that like gets shot with no bullets hurting you and then club someone on the head with a cudgel. You wouldn't even need to be a ninja. So why are you, if you're invincible, why are you an effing ninja?
It so many things are wrong with this. And then they did it twice, right? They doubled down on it in the sequel.
Yeah, badly again.
Yeah. And I blame not only do I blame Michael Bay, but I also blame what's her name? Fox. God.
Megan Fox.
Megan Fox. You talk about Bruce Willis phoning it in, and then you hand it over to Megan Fox. Good Lord. Like, I was longing for the April from the 1990s, which even though it's the best version of the movie, was probably the worst April, but still way better than Megan Fox.
She is okay. I liked that she looked strong in the movie.
She did
for being just a reporter.
But she was a way better actress than Megan Fox was, and more believable as April O'Neil than.
Yeah.
And they changed everything from the backstory. They changed everything from the look. They changed everything from Shredder. Oh my God, Shredder.
Oh, they were in some trouble there, man. They whitewashed the crap out of the Shredder and then had to go back and retroactively change the movie.
Yeah, that
backstory makes no sense now.
No, the whole story makes no sense
with Splinter and Shredder. Like, oh, well, I'm a white Wall Street power broker guy, millionaire that just wants to have an evil ninja techno clan.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes perfect sense. Okay.
No. None of it made sense. None of it at all. And I'm sad to say that I watched this movie. I'm even sadder to say that I came back to watch the sequel, hoping that it would get better, and it didn't. And I'm really hoping that we just have seen the end of the Michael Bay Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but we haven't. You know why? Because they directly influenced the rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yeah.
Now, this is where we get into some controversy here. The rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is a split camp. There are people who absolutely love it, and then there are people who absolutely despise it. I am in the despise group. I do not like the new rise of, or I do not like the rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. But it does what the Transformers does, and that keeps the franchise alive until something better comes along.
Yeah, sometimes there's just a design aspect that takes me so far away from something that I cannot watch it.
Yep.
Like new Thundercats. Teen Titans, even though it's a really funny show, it's that same kind of like weird chibi head kind of design. I do not like Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Well, I mean, just from a design perspective, straight out. If people like it, they like it. If they don't, they don't. There is a new movie, an animated movie coming, but the models are looking real sketch for that. And this one is brought to you by Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg. Love them, by the way. I don't know if I love them for turtles.
That's what I'm thinking. I don't know if this is going to be a good thing or a bad thing.
So, like, are we going to have like Michelangelo in a haze down in the toilet or not toilet, in the sewer lair, and you'll be like, Those two rats are humping.
Oh,
Like
no,
the Seth
please
Rogen
don't.
thing.
No.
Which,
No.
under any normal circumstances, enough for me. I love that guy. But
Oh no. Um, but honestly, Michael Bay has set the bar so low on Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles that this one really has nowhere else to go but up. I just it's
yeah,
going to take a lot of hard work to come in under this one. And if they do it, I mean, hats off to them. That's quite a remarkable accomplishment. But I don't know.
uh, hey, Dottie, do you remember that time when you got your dick stuck in a pizza box? I
Jesus.
mean, that's what we can have here, people. I mean, that's could
You're
be
you're not giving me much hope because I can see it. I can tell. You're not
two
giving me
bongs with a string instead of nunchucks, a couple of bongs.
Oh shit. All right. Okay. So I've got some we'll get off of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I
So
know
how about this?
but hold on. So we have to reach our break, but we have a couple more to share with you. So we will come right back after this break from our not sponsors.
Is this the end for Donatello?
Eat this, turtle breath.
Got a pizza instead?
Coming right up.
It's the Turtles' motorized pizza thrower.
They're having a party.
Oh no! Bebop and Rocksteady in the Flying Foot Cruiser. Looks like they've got an eye on our boys.
Hey, these dudes are a real pushover.
Michelangelo to the rescue in the party wagon.
We'll show these hairballs how to party.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Only from Krona.
He's getting mad. He's getting mean. He's breaking the line for the G.I. Joe team. That's right. It's William the Refrigerator Perry. The fridge destroying G.I. Joe.
And you can get a free fridge. Here's how.
Select 5 fridge certificates or call the number on the certificate and the fridge will tell you how to get in on the action. With only 4 certificates, there's a $1 handling charge. See details on specially marked G.I. Joe packages.
Watch out, Cobra. Fridge is coming through.
Yo, Joe!
All right, and we're back from that non-sponsor break. I hope you enjoyed it. I don't know which one I'm going to put in yet. I'm hoping it'll probably be good.
Bet you
Maybe
can't
it'll be a
wait for a couple
commercial
of
for
old
Michael
guys
Bay's
to.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Bet you can't wait to listen to a couple of old guys bitch about why things can't be the way they were.
We don't want them to be the way they were. We want them to be. Yeah, we do. We want them
We
to be.
just want the things that people love about them to be there. And like we've said before, obviously it has to do with characters. If you've got these franchises living 40 freaking years now.
Yep. They did something right beginning. Go back to that, please.
Please do that thing right. You can change other things, but just do those things right. So, okay. I think that we had a little palate cleanser there with wieners and pizza boxes and Seth Rogen laugh and all that. I think we're ready to
Let's move on to something else.
Yeah.
All right. So I've got 2 more, but I'm going to go the other way now. So
okay.
We were talking about recent movies from Hollywood. Now, this is not something new that Hollywood has been doing. They've actually started doing it when these franchises first came out. And there's always been rumbles of, oh, we're finally going to get a live action Masters of the Universe. Haven't seen it. And the only one we have is the 1987 version from Dolph Lundgren, with Dolph Lundgren. And so we're going to go the other way on this one. So this was one that it wasn't totally recognizable as He-Man when it first came out. He-Man didn't look like the He-Man that we were accustomed to, right? He was blonde hair and whatever, but I mean, Teela didn't look like Teela. Man-at-Arms didn't look like Man-at-Arms. We got a new version of the Sorceress. The world was a little bit different than what we had expected. They just went in a kind of a different direction with Masters of the Universe for 1987. But then something weird happened. We liked it.
Well, that's another split fandom thing, but I'll tell you what, I wasn't expecting to talk about that one, but I really feel like it was an issue of timing I know it was budget, right? Like for some of the choices that they made.
Mm-hmm.
But He-Man had already kind of pooped the bed with over distribution,
Right.
and we were too late into He-Man to do this movie. But if you look at the designs and the characters, and this would have, if you would have done this movie, I think instead of New Adventures of He-Man,
Mm.
waiting a few more years, let Masters and She-Ra run the course on the toy shelves, give it a year or two in between, and get it where people will, this will be fresh and new again.
Mhm.
That the designs from that movie, and I mean go whole hog, movie He-Man, movie Skeletor, the whole cast of new villains, and a new Castle Grayskull, and the humans, even have the human characters,
Yeah, absolutely.
and like some the Cadillac that was in there. I think that probably could have worked almost to resurrect He-Man,
It could have. It
like
absolutely could.
like they wanted to do with New Adventures, which is just not, it's not my cup of tea. I don't even like, the designs are okay.
New Adventures
So
seemed a little. They drew heavily from anime for it, which is not a bad thing if done right. I just don't. And some of the character designs in that one were okay, but for the distinction I'm trying to make, this is that, yeah, even back in 1987, Hollywood had a love for changing things from what everybody knew them to be. Hollywood likes to say, hey, we want to have a more creative spin on it. We want to put our own flavor on these things. And I understand that from a creative standpoint, people want to create and provide something new to a franchise, which is fine. And in this one, I think it actually kind of worked.
yeah, you're right, and that's because He-Man still did He-Man things.
Yep.
Man at Arms, and Tila did Man at Arms and Tila things, and Skeletor, which was like tremendous in that
Skeletor is
movie.
probably my favorite part of that whole movie.
What a villain! What a villain!
But even though they didn't look like the ones we knew,
yeah,
they still acted like the characters that we loved, which is what we were trying to say for Transformers. If you're going to change, you can change how they look, you can change what they do, but don't change who they are.
Exactly. And I think that you hit this nail right on the head. I readily accepted that movie, and I was in love with it when I was a kid. Even though He-Man wasn't in his furry shorts and furry boots, and we had all these design changes. I thought that was so cool and like future forward.
Yeah.
And I just love that movie top to bottom. The design for the Power Sword is like one of the best movie swords.
That sword is awesome.
So it's like top to bottom for like $16 million or whatever they had to make that thing work, or it cut down to like 13 or something. It was just bad timing.
Yeah, I agree.
Think, yeah, if we had been able to forget Masters of the Universe for just a little while, and then that comes out, and you relaunch the toy line with all these movie-based toys, and then even some shit that's not in the movies, maybe conceptual things like a new battle ram or a new attack track, or
like we didn't even there was no Battle Cat in that movie. Imagine we could have seen like a Battle Cat or something.
Yeah, so I think, dude, that it had the core stuff right about it that you could translate and bring into a movie. So
it's an example of what I wanted to use of even though things had changed, it was still right.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think they were very thrifty for what they had to do with the budget and how they had to maneuver the movie. And I mean, is it like Oscar performances in Star Wars? No. But neither is
Frank Langella. I don't know, dude. I don't know. That was a great performance.
Way over the top, but I do like it. And that's one of his favorite performances ever. He loves his Skeletor.
I remember him saying that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, could you imagine if they took all that kind of right stuff and plugged that into Transformers or G.I. Joe, how much better those would have been?
I know. And then
with $1 budgets and all the money that they had to do things, if you would have just gotten the core parts of it correct.
Just don't take away the thing that makes them special. And it wasn't his costume that made him special. It wasn't even his skin color or who he was. If you want to make him African American, if you want to make him Asian, doesn't matter. what matters is that the character, his core needs to be the same.
Yeah.
Right. I've met friends, I've had friends, African American friends who absolutely love He-Man. And it wasn't because of whatever, it was because of what he was. It was because of what he stood for, the things that he taught, right? So if you're nobody cares if you cast a different race. What we care about is that the character needs to be He-Man.
Yeah. And He-Man is so accessible because of Prince Adam.
Oh, totally.
Because Prince Adam has so much self-doubt and he doesn't fit in. And can you imagine being that powerful and being He-Man, but having to hide it from your parents?
I know.
To protect them and to protect the people around you. I mean, what a burden for a kid to have. So
we didn't even get to see that in the movie. They didn't even,
No, that's kind of a rough one though. I mean, it was just so limited.
I know.
With
for what it was, it still did things right.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm sorry we didn't get Orko. And I'm sorry that, we didn't get Triclops or some of these other cool things that people, the purists, would have wanted to see. But that movie was enough of the good stuff, and it was just bad timing.
What we got was the heart, and that was really all we needed.
Yeah. I mean, if you could make that movie with today's budget, with the mindset that they had making that movie, that would be the best toy movie out there.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. So far, yeah, it would be. And I don't know. It's going to take a lot to kind of beat that one, even though the budget was small and even though it didn't resemble in design the He-Man that we were used to. It still was great. So Hollywood, take note. Pay attention. Well, okay, I know you got one more, but I have one more that I want to go the other way before we get to your super cool one. Okay.
It's not cool.
It's not cool.
I hate it, but it's right. So you go ahead and okay. What do we got there? What's the other?
So and I'm going to go the other way now. Instead of the cartoon going to the movie, we're going to go from the movie to the cartoon.
Okay.
Ghostbusters. Boom. All right. So when that movie came out, it was a phenomenal hit, right? Everybody loved it. And then we hey, Saturday morning cartoon, Ghostbusters. The real Ghostbusters, by the way. There was already another Ghostbusters cartoon.
Yeah, I don't care about that crappy Filmation Ghostbusters. That thing is crap. I would never even collect those toys, even if they're old and unique.
But this cartoon came from the movie instead of the other way around. And they did the same thing with the Ghostbusters that they did if they were to take it from a cartoon and move it to a movie. They changed things around a little bit.
Yes, I can tell you why they did that. But
well, let's highlight some of the changes first. So Egon first, for example. Brown hair, blonde hair. I mean, I know it's kind of like a small thing, but when we're going from the movie to the cartoon and you're trying to recreate these memorable characters that people have already seen, you changed everything on them. And then they kind of went a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle kind of way where they each got a different color jumpsuit. And they started taking on very, very specific characteristics towards the type of character that they were trying to portray. So Egon was the super nerdy, totally down the hole of being a nerd. Ray was super smart, and Ray was like the nerdy giddy kind of, let's do everything we can. And then Venkman went so far right in his sarcasm that it was like, God, even it was kind of god awful at sometimes. The only thing that kind of remained the same was Winston, but I don't think they really used him to the fullest extent that they could.
Winston was late into the movie too, so I mean, he only had so many lines, but that is for the same reason why G.I. Joe animation models look so different than toys. It's the same reason why there are some distinct changes in Filmation models of He-Man characters in the toys, because it's a different set of likeness rights. And if they change that, then you've got your core Duke, right? But now, if you ever wanted to make Duke like in the cartoon, you got to go to Sunbow and pay Sunbow rights to turn their
Oh, okay. So
animation
this is a
cell
rights
into.
thing, not a.
Yeah, it is. And I don't think that it would have been enough to keep Egon with dark hair, even with that design. If he would have had dark hair, they probably could. Were saying that that's just too close to the, too close to the movie. Now there were certain like adult characteristics to the guys that didn't translate well to cartoon. Real Ghostbusters, I thought was a pretty cool cartoon.
Oh,
Uh,
I'm not saying it was wrong, bad. I'm saying that there were some very distinct changes and differences between what we saw in the film to what we got in the cartoon.
Yeah, and they kidded it down. I mean, they tried to play on to character types that would be appealing for children to look at. You can't really have Venkman womanizing.
I know. Can you imagine that?
You can't have the Ghostbusters smoking in the cartoon.
Oh, geez.
But you're right. It was a departure from the characters in the movie. So Ghostbusters, the movie, actually, both of them, and then this newest one, or I would prefer those to watching the original cartoons, even though I do like them and I did watch the cartoons. But yeah, I think they were kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place there.
But it did, the one thing that it did allow them to do with these characters was it did give them, every once in a while, an episode would come out that really let them shine and kind of be a little bit more than what they were in the movies. And there was one episode particular, I still remember to this day, about the Boogeyman. Do you remember the Boogeyman episode? Where he had this network of it was like Monsters Inc., but like if you went totally dark, right? Like
Yep.
He had this network of closets that he could go to and visit any kid he needed to terrorize so he could get more powerful. And then but one of the coolest things I remember about that episode was when Egon confronted him in this one kid's house, and the Boogeyman looked at him and went, "I remember you." And it was like, holy shit, that's freaking cool.
Right. I don't know why, but that line from Ghostbusters, the movie, when they ask Egon what he thinks about the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, and he's like, "I'm terrified beyond the capacity for rational thought." This is so flat and so like with no emotion.
Oh god. But even though, like I said, with He-Man, even though there were design changes, even though there were some changes, they still kept the heart, I think, as close as they could with what they were trying to do. And so I still consider this one in the win category and not so much in the things that they got wrong.
Yeah, they didn't merchandise correctly around it, and it was ill-timed. I mean, they started work on Transformers the movie in like at the beginning of season 2 of Transformers. I mean, that sucker was in development like they knew it was a hit, and they went right to it. G.I. Joe the movie. I think G.I. Joe had completed season 1 and were maybe like partial through season 2 when they started on that, because G.I. Joe preceded Transformers. I think that cartoon was out 6 months or a year before Transformers. So I mean, they were already hard at work. I mean, Hasbro just hit it with their franchises. So He-Man was real late in the game, and they had already let Masters of the Universe go to syndication. So they were done making new episodes before they even looked at the live action movie. They'd focused up on She-Ra for a couple of seasons, and then we're way down at the end. We were like, that movie came out in 87, which means it probably started shooting in about like late 85, somewhere in that time frame. Those toys had been on the shelf since what, 81, 82?
Yeah, easily.
You're way late in the toy cycle for that to start. But great movie. I love it to death. And I can sit and watch it to this day and love that movie.
I feel the same way about Ghostbusters, right? I could still watch the first Ghostbusters, and then I can sit down and watch a Ghostbusters cartoon episode and still be just as happy. So I'm all right there.
Well, do you want to know what I think is the winner?
All right, what's the winner? Let me see if I agree with you.
This just absolutely kills me to say it, because I have zero interest in the franchise. It just means nothing to me at all. Like I wouldn't even take it. I can just leave it, like walk away from it and never see it. But I don't remember the circumstances around me viewing this movie. And it was really kind of just to have some noise on. I think I was sick or something. Or maybe Nicole was out of town and it was like a Sunday morning.
Okay.
But I put on Mighty Morphin Power Rangers for whatever reason.
The movie?
Yes. And now I'm not going to say that it's loyal to the original TV show because there's been 50 different versions of that ridiculous crap. But it is very loyal to the way that the show works and how the Rangers are indoctrinated, and they do the big kaiju fights with the giant robots. All they did was change the names and the faces.
Yep.
They brought in Elizabeth Banks to play Rita, the main bad guy, the witch.
Okay.
And it might not have been the best acted, but that movie was like put together extremely well with the CGI and the big story, and kids being unsure if they can handle this burden of this power. And as much as I nothing Power Rangers, my heart nothings it. But that was the one big one that's come out recently where it doesn't miss a beat with Power Rangers. I mean, I don't think it was a commercial success either.
I remember watching it, but then again, I barely knew anything about Power Rangers to begin with when I was watching it.
Yeah,
I knew the basics, right? I knew that there were five. I think there's five, five kids who get caught up into this Power Ranger thing and get given these skills or given these powers and things to go out and fight these aliens, I guess. And that's really about all I know.
Well, I mean, you were probably like me, right? Like we were a little old for it when it came. And I think I was like either in like 8th grade or 9th. So just in like late middle school or early high school when that premiered. And I'm like, oh, I love Voltron. I love like the Inframan and the like that kaiju stuff you'd see on USA Network late at night sometimes. So,
Right on.
I turned it on and I watched. And I'm like, man, this is some fake looking shit. Like, wow, I did not expect such an underproduced thing to make it to TV.
Do you remember when they combined Power Rangers with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles? Do you remember that?
I only heard of it. I never watched any of it.
YouTube it. You won't be disappointed. It's just as cheesy and stupid as you think it is.
Yeah, no. I've got some paint to wash dry. It'd be more entertaining. But yeah, I hate to say it, man, but when you look at Turtles, Transformers, Joe, all of these modern things that have come out where they're just stripped of all of the things that are right about it, Power Rangers is the one that kind of got it right.
Kept what it needed in order to be recognizable and be fun.
The one that I do enjoy the most, though, the most delicious sacrilege has got to be the Dragon Ball Z movie.
Oh God.
Top to bottom. I mean,
I still haven't seen that. I've seen like clips of it.
So Transformers has it bad, but I don't know if we've got it DBZ bad. I don't like the fans. I don't like the character designs of the original cartoons. They just all look like roided up Cabbage Patch Kids to me. I could not ever get into that original cartoon ever. It was just so stupid and drug on.
All right, so I've got an honorable mention, and this one, like, I don't even know how, like, what the thought process was behind this movie, right? But they took a concept that, like, shouldn't have been a movie in the first place. They turned it into a movie, and then it was a shitty movie. Surprise, surprise. Garbage Pail Kids.
Shut the fuck door.
Do you remember that movie's the stuff that nightmares are made of. They took a franchise which basically was trading cards on a disgusting level, taking bodily functions and up and up straight out murder on some of these guys. And when, you know what? There's a movie in there. Let's turn this sucker live action and let's see what we get. I'll tell you what you got.
Okay. Yeah. That was a little bit of a reach. They didn't have a backstory. It was
There was
still
no
better.
story.
It was still better than the writing in any Michael Bay Transformers movie. All right, hold on. The writing.
Oh God. No. I remember the way these things looked. My God. They were so god awful.
Oh, come on.
And like the puppet, like the people that they got, the little people that they got to play, I remember hearing that there was no ventilations in the suit and it would get to like 80 degrees. They were roasting these little people alive. They could only shoot for like 2 or 3 minutes at most at a time. Oh, like who would have thought that this was like, you know what, we got to capitalize on this. Cartoons? No, we're not going to do cartoons. We're going to do live action. Why?
Because you can't get away with that shit in cartoons. That's why. I mean, it was so tame in the movie. They knew that people would show it to their kids, but you can't do like hardly even PG cartoons back then.
There's so many fart jokes. So many fart jokes.
Yeah, so I like that movie.
You do?
For what it is.
New today.
For what it is, I like it. Like if it was on, I would watch it and I would get a good laugh. Like at one point, some guy hits this girl Cabbage Patch Kid in the stomach, and she just like yaks all over him and his buddies.
It's horrible. It's so bad. It's hard to say what they got wrong and what they got right because it was so wrong anyway, right? Like, what did you get right? Well, you got it right based on, but the cart, there was nothing there to begin with. I don't know. But hey, for what it is, people remember it, right? You're not going to forget that shit anytime soon.
If you've seen it, you can't unsee what it is. So I've just embraced it. I'm fine with it. That's never going to be toys and action figures. It's just going to be more stickers for.
Can you imagine if NECA comes out with freaking Garbage Pail Kids from the movie?
Well, somebody's doing the statues based on the. Is that who that is?
I don't know.
I don't remember. I almost bought the Roy Bot, but I held back. I didn't buy it. That was my favorite one.
The Roy Bot, the one that looked like a transformer.
Yeah, it looks like the armored Veritech with just like a baby head and a gun coming out of his forehead. Yeah. Okay, so I got one, and it really flew under the radar, but I thought it was a very good toy-based movie, and I don't know if it was very good movie-based toys. And I want to say it was 2004's TMNT. Do you remember that one, the CGI movie where
the CGI one? Yeah,
where they're all spread out. The turtles have like thrown the towel in and they're not working together anymore.
I liked that one.
They beat the shredder, but then some like the shredder resurfaces or something, and you got to get all the turtles back together. And you've got that scene where like Leonardo and Raphael are having it out on the roof.
Yeah, great scene.
That one I thought got almost everything right about Ninja Turtles. Maybe the villains were a little kooky. Oh, I know what it was. It was some guy that like traveled through time. He was immortal, and he was trying to resurrect all of his immortal buddies, and it was some convoluted thing like that. But the fact that it
Raph wearing the armor.
Yeah, because Raphael became like this Batman type character.
Yeah.
The only one left fighting crime. The rest of them just spread. They like spread out. And I don't even know if Splinter was alive in that movie. I think he might have passed away at that point or something, but they sort of lost their center. And April went looking for Leonardo to help bring the turtles back together. And he was living in like Venezuela or something. I thought it
It's
was
been
pretty.
a while since I've seen that movie. I know which one. I actually like the art direction from that movie. I thought the turtles were pretty cool. They at least they weren't Michael Bay turtles, right? Like giant, whatever. They look like teenagers. Still.
The Hulk. Where I mean, why be a ninja at that point? So I really like that.
Or not.
I gotta give it to him for that, because that movie got a ton right about the characters, and it was still kind of a kid and family friendly thing, and it had a really good emotional core to the movie.
Yeah.
So that one I was probably the best of in the last like 20 years, aside from Power Rangers, like staying true to character and giving us things about the movies that were good.
Yeah,
but
I would agree.
We got a Barbie movie coming with Ryan Gosling, so we'll see how that turns out.
I'm probably not going to watch that one.
Well, the one picture I've seen of him, he looks like a gigolo. He's got like his shirt all opened up, and he's showing his rock hard chiseled abs.
He's got to look like Ken, dude.
No, but I'm assuming he's going to probably be about as useful as Ken, which is to say not very. But we'll see how that does, how that reignites the fandom. Barbie doesn't really have a story. It's just a really cool toy line of empowering role play type designs.
Yeah, I remember my daughter really liking some of they came out with like straight to video Barbie movies back in the day. My daughter really liked them, but Barbie for what it is. We can't speak on the girl side of things because we just don't know what it is that gets them going. But
but Barbie's not pinned down to an archetype, because she is so many things. Barbie is almost like Joe from the 60s, in the sense that you've got different Joe for different things, but there really has never been like the story. Like Barbie was a young girl living in the suburbs of Scranton, like she grew up.
Exactly. Yeah.
There's never been a definitive origin story, which actually is probably incredibly smart from Mattel to do it that way.
Yeah. Let the kids give it their own story.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that's what we got for tonight. If you thought of any movies that maybe we missed, we always seem to hit the big four, but I'm sure there's other ones that we missed. But we just don't enjoy talking about as much. But if you think of them, put them in the comments. Let us know. Yeah,
do that. There's only so much of us that people can take with our very educated and important opinions. So, for the sake of not literally killing you with our droning on about how things should have been, that's all you guys get for now. But we're still interested in your comments. But we also like you to like us and subscribe to us if you guys want to hear any more of our old man opinions. Yeah, and tell me how stupid Garbage Pail Kids is. I want to know how many of you hate that movie. Appropriately named movie. Appropriately named. It's not called Dumpster Fire Kids. Kind of is one. All right. Like us on Instagram. Steve is Plastic Adventures Community. I'm the Toyman 80s. We also have a Facebook page, Plastic Adventures Community Facebook page. So find us there and let us know what you think. We'll see you guys in the toy aisle.